Bien. Hola y muy buenos días. Buenos días, ¿cómo están todos?
Bien, gracias.
¿Están bien? Bien, bien, sí,
Sí,
bien aquí, sí. Bueno, y espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope you guys are well. Hoy vamos a practicar. We're going to pick up with the practice we've worked on last week and do that as kind of a little back step review, which is always a good thing to take, one little step back. So we're going to do some cognados, some cognate practice, and I will send you into the smaller rooms to do a bit of that. And then I want to do some really basic practice with us with two concepts, which people get kind of messed up from time to time. But this will be kind of a cleanup thing on something that you think should be easy, but sometimes we misuse and really basic stuff. And that is the verb I. There is, or there are, right? It serves both purposes versus está. Okay, okay. And in between those two things of the cognados warm-up practice and the estar and I thing, we'll take any questions you might have had on the listening video. So that'll be our kind of little white cake and the Oreo cookie in the middle. Okay. A ver. And of course, any things that you wish to work on during this winter session, always feel free to send me email suggestions on topics that are burning issues for you, because everybody has some of those. Vale, bueno, I'm going to do one quick last check because sometimes I get some emails last minute. Ooh. Okay. And of course, true to form, I think I need to send something out. Somebody who didn't get an email. A ver, bueno, un momentito. Quick moment. I think we've got somebody who may have lost a link. I'm going to try to send that before we start. Okay, cognados. Vamos a empezar con cognados. We're going to pick up. And what I had given you was not the whole thing, because we worked on most of this. But I believe it was 4 and 5, 4 y 5, creo. Is that right? No, 5 y 6, 5 y 6. Okay. Bien. Vale. Cognados son, cognados, of course, are those words that sound like an English word you already know and mean exactly what they look like, or, you know, close enough that you totally get the picture. Y vamos a ver aquí. Número 5 tiene las palabras social, profesional. Oh, y no hay dos S's. There are not two S's there. I think I had an autocorrect. I had it on English. And it went and corrected it behind my back. Profesional, una S. Yeah, we don't have double S's in Spanish. That's one thing. And of course, if you're speaking, that doesn't matter because you're not spelling out. Okay. Profesional, local, fenomenal, super. And I put super in there, and I really should add an accent mark to our super word, because really when you write it, it should have an accent mark. Super plus a description. I am going to give you one example here before I send you out for practice. Super is something, I'm not sure if this actually qualifies as slang or not, but everybody seems to use it. Spaniards seem to use it. Mexicans seem to use it. Everybody, Latin Americans, Colombians, everybody seems to like the super. Super often gets paired up with a description. Okay. Y un ejemplo aquí, one example here so that you know how to
better off
use.
if I get out of the picture.
Super. Super. I'm going to give you the most blah example so that you come up with something more interesting. Super bueno. Super good. Es super, super importante. A lot, especially amongst the young folk, the super word, combining it with a descriptor, is becoming, as the years roll on, a more and more popular kind of thing to use. So these things what we want to make sure of, here's what I want to make sure you focus on. I'm going to send you off into little groups so that you build a very short sentence with the people in your group. It does not have to be fancy, okay? I want you to focus on pronouncing it like the Spanish word, not the English word, okay? Because these cognates are helpful for you to build vocabulary, but I really want you to focus on your Spanish pronunciation, and that means getting those vowels very clean. Vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Vowels, A, E, I, O, U, okay? And make sure you do not anglicize them because your brain will desperately want to do that. And that es normal. That is a normal thing. But pronounce it the Spanish way and build a very short sentence with these. So, social, profesional, local, fenomenal, super. Vale, ¿sí? ¿Entienden? And I gave you one example with the last one because the last one, you may not have known, what does she mean with super and description? That's what we mean. It needs to be a descriptive word. Okay. So you can't pair it with a noun like, well, you could compare it with super hombre because that's a cartoon thing that even they know, but super mujer. Yeah, no, we don't combine it with a noun. See, super carro. Supercar. No, it's got to be super and a description, okay? Because it takes it to a bump up. And that's an important thing because we'll talk about that later in our class. Okay, a ver, you will see that screen with the words, so you don't have to have them copied down. I think I'm 5 minutos. ¿Qué creen ustedes? What do you guys think? I think 5 minutes is enough for that. It's a simple enough thing. Sí, vale, bien. Okay, fantástico. When we come back, we'll see if you have a great example to share with the group, we'll do that. If you have a question about how to build a sentence, we'll do that. Okay, you need to hit your join button. You will see the share screen when you get into the room. Bien. Okay. Y mi cronómetro. I need to set my timer. Mi cronómetro. Tengo un cronómetro en mi reloj inteligente. Pero tengo que buscar el botón. 5 minutos aquí. Tengo 5 minutos. Y vale, y Christine, do you have a join button or not? I'm going to, sometimes people's join buttons don't work. I'm going to move Lisa into a different room. Or maybe Christine, you don't want to join today, which is okay too. Vale. Bien. But I know sometimes we get some funny technical things. Está bien. Veo tu mensaje, Cristina, y está bien. Ok, a ver. Y 4 minutos más. Y para que sepas, I can go, just so you know, I can go into the breakout rooms, but quite often that messes up the share screen when I do that. So when I have a share screen that people are reading while they're in small groups, I try not to go into the small groups myself so as not to mess up the list of words people are working with. Okay. Nos queda 1 minuto, 30 segundos, más o menos, más o menos. I'm going to send a little broadcast message in so people know they've got about 1 minute left. Mhm. And we'll bring our people back. Some people may join in a little bit earlier if they finished up faster. Some people may take the full minute if they needed a little more time. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Welcome on back. We'll see what kind of questions people had. I'm going to take that share screen off so we can get people back in our main room. Okay. 20 segundos, 20 seconds. And there goes my buzzer. Okay, mi cronómetro. Y ¿dónde están? ¿Dónde están? ¿Dónde están? Bien, 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 bien. Fantástico. Aquí vienen todos. Here comes everybody. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Bien, bien. Fantástico. Now, don't be afraid. The reason we go into these smaller groups is so that you can help. It's peer coaching, which is cool and okay, yeah. So if you pronounced por ejemplo, for example, if you pronounced the first word as social and you thought that sounded great, your coaching buddies in your group should say, es buen ejemplo. It's a good example. Let's look at, you know what, try that word again because I think there's no sh sound. Yeah, unless you live in Buenos Aires, there is no sh sound. If you live in Buenos Aires, there is, but otherwise, no. So, social. So do feel free to coach each other, even on some of that pronunciation, if something doesn't sound quite right, because the only way we get it right is by practicing. Okay, vale. Bueno, aquí con las palabras social, profesional, local, fenomenal, super, unos ejemplos. Any examples you want to share that, like, I'm proud of this example. It was a great example. Okay, Cindy.
Yo tengo una pregunta. Pero
Dime.
my sentence is, las vistas dentro de Antelope Canyon son fenomenal. Is it phenomenal or phenomenales?
Are you describing vistas?
Yes.
Views.
So it's E.
More
You
than
have to
one.
put the ES.
We need to do something with that. Yeah, we need an ES on the end. So it will sound not, but it's just one little thing you add on to the end. So instead of fenomenal, it becomes
Fenomenales.
fenomenales.
Phenomenales.
Fenomenales, fenomenales. Bien, 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 bien. Sí. Bueno, exacto. Buena pregunta, Cindy. Muy buena pregunta. Some of these words do change a lot. So if your description, if your example used this for a plural example, then that word also, that description will also go plural. We'll share, and I'll share one example of that with you. Social, por ejemplo, social. If you don't like Facebook, if you don't like Twitter, if you don't like that kind of stuff, you might choose to build a sentence like this. No me gustan las redes sociales. I don't like social networks. Okay, bien. And there, instead of social, it has to become sociales because it's describing redes, which means literally nets, but it means network here. See, social networks is what we call social media. This is the term that they use in Spanish for that. But because redes, the thing we're describing as social, yeah, is more than one, then that word social has to become a plural of sociales. ¿Entienden?
Sí.
Okay.
Sí.
Hay otro ejemplo. Is there another example that you would like to share with the group?
I kind of had a question. I do have a question about this sentence.
Okay.
Alfredo es más sociable que Marcos. So, yeah.
Okay. Vale. See,
Is that
you're
right?
comparing two people?
Yeah. You would use sociable, right? I mean, that's what.
Sociable, yeah, there are different little ways that may morph a little bit, right? See, sociable would describe a person. Hay otro ejemplo, sí. Por ejemplo, sí, aquí tenemos, busco. I'm looking for, let's say you're a new person in town. Yeah, you just moved somewhere. Busco un grupo social, ¿sí? En mi nuevo pueblo. I'm looking for a social group in my new town. Say you're looking to make connections with people and you just moved. Like that. Un grupo social. Okay? Un ejemplo.
Right.
Bien. But a person sociable is maybe a little bit better. Sí. Bueno, ¿hay otras preguntas o hay otros ejemplos?
Tengo una pregunta
Dime.
de local.
Local, sí.
Sí, I wasn't even sure how to use it, like it's local, like meaning like local, like it is in English. Could you
Sí,
give an
sí.
example for the sentence?
Sí. Por ejemplo, aquí, para local. Y voy a escribir el ejemplo también. Local, por ejemplo, los restaurantes locales, ¿sí? Están en el centro,
Okay.
así, ¿sí? O, por ejemplo, la iglesia local está en la calle central. Algo así. ¿Bien?
Can it refer to like people? You know how we refer to people as locals?
Oh, en ese sentido exacto, no, pero para referir, por ejemplo, como locals en inglés, toda la gente, no. Pero la policía, el policía, el policía local, the local police guy, that it works okay. But not to talk about like everybody who lives in a town.
Okay.
That would be, hay una palabra, there is a word for that. If you want to talk about the locals, meaning the people, like everybody who lives in this little town, you would use something like los habitantes, habitantes, los habitantes. Yeah. Locals is kind of a slang English term, isn't it? But we would call those people in Spanish los habitantes, the inhabitants, literally, because that's what you call the locals. Los habitantes del pueblo son muy amables. Los habitantes del pueblo, ¿ok? Bien, vale. Ok.
Marilyn, can I ask a question?
Sí, sí.
Are these cognates, are these adjectives or nouns? Or can they be?
Oh, social, sí. Adjetivo. Profesional, sí. Sí. Quizás. Profesional, quizás a veces un sustantivo. Profesional, maybe could be a noun in some cases, you know,
Okay.
the professionals. Local, sí. Descripción. Fenomenal, sí. Descripción. Super is kind of a word, more like it's acting more like an adjective that supports an, excuse me, more like an adverb that supports an adjective. Super bumps up that quality, which I hope to talk about at the end of class. Yeah. So super always stays that same form, no matter what you use with it. Super really bumps up the quality of importante. It bumps up the quality of bueno. Okay. Un ejemplo, I'm going to give you an example of that, super, because you hear people use this a lot. Los edificios, los edificios de Nueva York son súper impresionantes. Los edificios de Nueva York son súper impresionantes. And super does not change. It just bumps up impresionantes, impressive, to take it to a level that's up here. Okay? That's the only job that super gets. So super out of all of those is a word that won't change in form.
Okay, I have another question then. If I was going to say my grandmother is a super cook, would it be mi abuela es una cocinera super? Or where does that word
No,
go?
because we want to use super with a description.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Okay.
entonces, podemos decir, mi abuela es es difícil because cook is a person.
Yeah, okay. Sí.
So es mi abuela, we can pair it with something on this list. Mi abuela es súper profesional cuando cocina. Mi abuela es súper profesional cuando cocina.
Okay.
She's super professional when, yeah, but she's a super cook. Es cocinera. Mi abuela es una cocinera impresionante. Es una cocinera fantástica, estupenda.
Okay.
Es súper estupenda. I was like taking a superlative and bumping it way up.
Yeah.
Es posible. Sí.
About mi
Es súper.
abuela es un super bueno.
Yeah,
Oh, no, you want some.
Súper buena.
I've got 3, just put some.
Sí, es súper buena, sí, con recetas, con crear recetas. Mi abuela es súper buena con crear recetas. My grandma is super good with creating recipes. You're talking
Okay.
about the way she cooks, see?
Okay.
But we won't combine super with a person, place, or thing,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
Except maybe for Super Hombre, who's a comic character. Okay,
Okay.
bueno. ¿Hay otra pregunta o no? Okay, we're going to move into these. These are maybe not exactly in that field of cognates exactly, but sometimes, often, you can call a word, I guess you would say maybe an almost cognate. And I want to say almost cognate because even though there might not be an exact cognate word, when you look at it, you still know kind of what it means. We have a word that talks about inhabiting, and we have the word habitante, an inhabitant, a person who lives in a specific place. And now we've got a word habitación. It's not a direct cognate, but this is a super important one if you're traveling ever, because this is the word we use to talk about a bedroom area, generally when you go into a hotel, or if you're in somebody's home, staying in somebody's home. Habitación is one of the many words, because there are many, that means a bedroom. Okay, and it's a place you inhabit. It's a space you inhabit. So habitación may not be a direct cognate, but if you never heard the word before, you could get pretty close to the meaning of it. Habitación. So there are two pitfalls with pronunciation here that you may fall into. One is la H, that H. What do we do with that H in Spanish?
Silence.
Silent, yeah. Unless it's a CH, that combination we do voice as the ch sound, right? Which is exactly like what we do in English. But lache, the H, we don't pronounce at all. So pitfall number one with that word, when you pronounce and practice in your small rooms, don't pronounce it, yeah? And the other pitfall here may be, again, that there is no shun. Sion. Sion. Okay? Sion. Habitación. Habitación. A bedroom, okay? Whether that's in a house or a hotel.
Yeah.
La segunda palabra, calmante. Calmante. Make sure you get your vowels right. Calmante. Something that is soothing or calming. It is also the word used as a noun for painkillers. So Tylenol. See? Bien? Okay. Bueno, but you can use calmante to describe things. Okay. Sounds. Okay. Hablante. Hablante. Not a direct cognate, but you know that hablar means to speak. So you can guess that hablante might be a person who is speaking, right? And again, the pitfall we want to look at avoiding here is not pronouncing that H. Lache. Hablante. Hablante. See? Okay. Okay. And you'll notice a lot of the words on this list are kind of on the longer side, right? If you know that trabajar means to work, this is one of the common verbs that a lot of people learn very early on in Spanish. Trabajar means to work. If you hear it used as trabajador, that D-O-R makes it a person who does the thing in the first part of the word. So, trabajador is somebody who works a lot. Okay. It can be a person who is a worker as well, but often it's used to describe people who are very diligent about their jobs. Okay. It's a description. Amable, we have a word amiable, and that means you're easy to get along with, right? And that's what it means in Spanish as well. Amable could be translated as kind or nice or, you know, friendly, polite, all those positive qualities that make you want to be around a person. Amable, amable, amable. And maybe the pitfall here is when we get this combination in English, anything with a BLE, that's a silent E. And in Spanish, there is no silent E, right? You have to pronounce all those vowels. So that is amable, amable. Bien. Okay. Sí, pregunta.
When you say habitation,
Habitación.
you're not shoning, right? You pronounce the C-I-O-N, habitation.
Sion. I hear a little sh, sh, sh. There is no sh. So try that again. Actually, try just the last part of it, Lisa. Sion. Sion.
Sion.
Sion. Perfecto. Sion.
So I just feel like I need to say the CI more, but it's not. There's
There's
an accent there.
Sion. Well, okay, so that accent there just means punch the O in that syllable more than the other syllables. And I'll give you an illustration of that. That accent mark there is to tell you that that O gets more punch than the other vowels. So in other words, you wouldn't pronounce it habitación or habitación. It's habitación. You punch the O at the end just a little harder. But try just
you
the
don't-
sion one more time for
Sion.
me.
Sion.
Sion. Okay, now your question.
Well, just that the I, I'm wanting to put more emphasis on the I because I want to say E, I want to pronounce each letter.
Okay. So why is there an accent mark on the O and not the I?
Well, not exactly, but I just feel like I want to put more, emphasis on that I.
Yeah, we don't. Okay, so we don't want, and that's a long word. So actually, this is a good question. Habitación, it isn't that. Habitación. No, habitación. Habitación.
Habitation.
Habitación. And what you want to make sure is you don't have a sh at the end. Sion, sion, sion.
Sion.
Okay.
Sion.
Sí. Bien, bien. Okay, and that's your English, your old, like forever, it's been there in English. That is really trying hard. Sheila, hay una pregunta.
No. So Calamante,
Perfecto.
Calamante, how do you know there's no little over anything? How do you know Calamante, which
How do you know which syllable gets the emphasis?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
How do you know which syllable gets the emphasis? Okay. How do I know that with calmante? Habitación has an accent mark, but calmante does not. Okay. There's a long, how do I reduce this to make it less complicated? Okay.
Marilyn,
Sí.
how I learned it was if it ends in a E, I, O, or U, an S or an N, it's on the next to the last syllable. Everything else, it's the last syllable.
Okay. See,
That's how I learned.
yeah. Okay. So I'll reduce it to this. When you see an accent mark, it is there because the way we pronounce the word is actually kind of breaking a rule of stress. Okay, so an accent mark comes in either if you've got a shorty word that you need to distinguish from another word, and I'll give you a quick example of that. Job of accent marks. Te and te are pronounced exactly the same. Te and te, right? They're shorty words. They're one syllable words, te and te. But these are two very different words that have two very separate definitions. So, te con acento with an accent mark, te means this beverage. Okay? Te with no accent mark means like this to you. Te envío el link de Zoom. I'm sending you the Zoom link. I'm sending it to you. Okay. So that te is a very different definition than the definition of te with an accent mark. So that's one job of accent marks. But the other job of accent marks is to tell you, oh, this word is breaking the rule of which syllable gets the stress. So I need to show you where instead you will, which syllable you will punch more. And I can show you that with the word económico in a second. Okay, vale, bien. Let's take a word, let's take a look at that word, amable. Amable. Amable has no accent mark. Most words in Spanish will not carry accent marks, most, okay? Amable doesn't need an accent mark. When a word ends in a vowel, there's a rule for that. When the last letter in a word is a vowel, or when it is the letter N, or when it is the letter S. The natural place to punch harder is the second to last syllable. That's the rule. Okay? So, amable ends in a vowel, eh? And the second to the last syllable, which happens to be that ah sound, amable, amable, gets the stress. And the way we pronounce that word obeys that general rule, amable. Let's look at calmante. Calmante ends in a vowel. And we punch this sound a little bit harder. That's where the natural stress should follow. The way we pronounce that word follows that rule. So I don't need an accent mark. Calmante, right? It's not calmante, calmante. No. It's calmante. Yeah. Calmante, calmante. Okay. The way we pronounce that word obeys that stress pattern. The last letter of the word, a vowel or an N or an S. Okay. So those kinds of words we punch or stress the second to last syllable. And if second to last. Or as my husband likes to say, penultimate. Okay, bien. What if the last letter of a word isn't a vowel or an N or an S? Well, then it's some other letter. And that just means you punch the end harder. And you had a lot of examples of that in the last slide. Not social. Not a vowel, not an N, not an S. We punch the ending. Social. Okay, profesional, local. Fenomenal. Uh-oh, notice what happened here. Hey, super. the last letter is not a vowel N or S, but I don't pronounce it super, super. No, I'll pronounce it super. So I do need an accent mark there. A job of an accent mark is to tell you, uh-oh, when you read this word, the pronunciation breaks the stress rule. It breaks the stress rule. And the job of the accent mark is to show you, here's the syllable you do punch harder. Okay, that's the job of the accent mark. So let's look at our last set of words here. Here's an example of a word. It ends in a vowel. So that means the normal rule would be second to last syllable is where this harder stress goes. But the way we pronounce the word, the way we normally pronounce the word breaks that rule. So the job of the accent mark is to say, here's the vowel to punch harder. It's not what you're going to expect. It doesn't follow the rule. So my job as Mr. Accent Mark is, I'm going to show you where you do punch this harder. Okay. So without the written accent mark, that word would have to sound, I got to work hard to say it this way. Economico, economico, economico. But nobody says that word, economico. Economico would obey the rule. The way we pronounce this word breaks that rule. So the job of this is to show you, hey, whole bunch of vowels in here. Here's what you're going to punch harder. That's the job of the accent mark. All right. Oh, still sounds like the basic sound doesn't change, but the syllable that gets harder punch, harder stress, more stress is this sound. Therefore, it carries an accent mark. Económico. Económico. Okay. Bien? Did I answer the accent mark thing? Bien? An accent mark does not change the sound of the vowel. It just changes which syllable gets more stress. Okay. Bien. So let's take a look at this. We did a little detour there, but that's okay. Sometimes detours are good. Let's look at this next word that you're going to practice. Económico, económico. Económico looks like economical, and it kind of means that. But the way people really use it is to say that something is cheap, to say that it doesn't cost a lot. Okay? So in common usage, that's where, unless you're reading a newspaper article out of New York Times about some, fiscal policy. Now, most people use this word to talk about something that doesn't cost a whole lot. Económico, económico, económico. Okay. And the flip side of that is, here is a word that is often used to say that something costs a lot. Now, there's another word for that. There is a synonym that means a similar word. And this, the similar word that which most people learn first is caro. Caro means expensive. You know that caro means expensive. But here's the problem. Quite often when people talk with you, they'll throw in a different word because they feel like it. And the different word for caro is costoso. 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 So I want everybody to try these two words together because they're common words. Económico.
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 Económico. Bien. Okay. And
Económico.
económico. Económico. And costoso.
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 People can choose to use the word
Económico.
Mira.
caro. They might choose to instead use a different word and say costoso. Costoso. And notice costoso has no accent mark because it doesn't need it. The way we pronounce this word follows the rule of stress, which is last letter of the word is an O, and we punch the second to last syllable a little harder. Costoso. Costoso.
Costoso.
Bien, perfecto. Costoso.
Costoso.
Bien, vale. Bueno, So let me go run through all those again before I send you out into your rooms. Habitación,
Habitación.
habitación, bien, bien, bien. Calmante,
Calmante,
calmante, sí. Hablante,
hablante,
¿ok? Trabajador,
Trabajador.
trabajador. Yeah, the other one I kind of forgot
Trabajador.
this. That J will always sound like a ja, ja, ja. Trabajador, bien.
Trabajador.
Amable,
amable,
económico,
Económico.
Económico.
costoso.
costoso,
Costoso.
Costoso.
Perfecto. Fantastico. Okay. I'm going to send you out into smaller rooms. I may give you just maybe a minute extra because this is a little bit longer list. See?
My
Bien,
teacher to do
bien.
this.
Okay. Vale. Una pregunta. Any question before I send you off into the little rooms or no? You're going to create a simple sentence with that. Okay. Simple sentence. Nada más. Nothing else. Okay. Bien.
Sí.
Vale,
Sí.
perfecto. Okay. Hit your join button. You will see the list of words. Momentito. Perfecto. Ok. Vale. Bien, hizo. Muy me gusta la foto del avión. Wow, I like that plane picture in the background. Qué buena foto. Qué buena foto. What a good picture. Ok. Y quizás 6 minutos, 7 minutos, más o menos. Nos quedan como 2 minutos más para practicar. Un minuto más. Voy a escribir un mensaje aquí para los grupos pequeños. Ustedes tienen un minuto más para practicar. A ver. Okay, we're going to close the rooms here. That gives people 1 extra minute to tie up any loose ends. And finish up their practice aquí. Bien, vale. Aquí vienen mis estudiantes. Fantástico. Okay, we got a few people coming on back. We'll have more people coming in about 30 more seconds.
So Marilyn,
Sí.
my group wants me to speak
Ah,
on tape. So be nice to me.
I will. You know I'm always nice to you. Claro que sí, claro que sí. Of course. Okay, vale. Bueno, bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Okay, ¿quieres empezar? You want to start? Linda.
So we thought we really liked the sentence for
Okay.
Calmante,
Calmante.
Mante. Un buen libro tiene un efecto calmante.
Es una frase fantástica. Sí, qué buen ejemplo. Tiene un...
Repetir, por favor.
Sí, repite, por favor.
Repite.
Un buen libro tiene un efecto calmante.
Calmante. Excelente. Sí, un buen libro tiene un efecto calmante. A good book has a calming effect. Qué frase sofisticada. What a sophisticated sentence. Sí, me gusta mucho. Ok, vale. Hay otros ejemplos. O, por ejemplo, la música favorita de mi esposo no es calmante. Sí, una banda favorita de mi esposo es Tool. Oh,
Sí.
no, la música favorita de mi esposo no es calmante, por lo general. Bien, sí.
La música de Tony Bennett es muy calmante.
Eso sí, sí. Fantástico. Bueno, hay otros ejemplos. Other
Una
examples.
pregunta about the painkiller. So,
Sí, sí.
tomar calmante antes de jugar el fútbol. Is that correct or
Sí,
not?
tomar calmante, sí, sí,
Okay.
sí. O, por ejemplo, hoy mi hijo, tiene dolor de cabeza
Mhm.
y fiebre.
¿Qué pesa?
Está
Okay.
enfermo
Is that a
y
headache?
va a tomar un calmante.
Okay. Tomar un
Her son is
¿Cómo
sick.
así?
He has
Sí,
headache.
sí,
Fever.
eso, sí. Mi hijo está enfermo, tiene fiebre, tiene dolor de cabeza, es horrible. Así que él va a tomar un calmante. ¿Cómo
I
es?
think you just
Bien.
answered a question that our little group had, which was just to confirm that calmante can be used both as a noun or an adjective.
Eso sí, sí. Perfecto, sí. Perfecto,
And-
sí, Marcos. Tienes razón. You are right. Tienes razón. Eso
I've
es.
I've heard people say like this is more as a command to calm down, calmate, and it's
Bien.
very similar.
Sí, bueno, ok, Lori.
Calmante.
Sí, sí,
Calmante.
tu idea, me gusta mucho, Lori, a tu idea. And that is a lot of times you may hear words that are kind of have a little twist to them. A lot of these words might change their functions a little bit. You may have an embedded part of this word that changes a little bit, and that means it's taking on a different kind of job. So calmante is a descriptive or a thing, a little pill that you take, but you often will hear people using this as a command. And I'll write this down. I missed my L. Calmate. This is a common thing to hear. Cálmate. Cálmate. Hey, chill out. Cálmate. Literally, calm yourself. Now, nobody in English is going to say, calm yourself, right? Because that would sound weird in English. Cálmate, cálmate. But we can take that word calmante and in a morphed form, a changed form, it is now a verb and it is now a command. You're telling somebody, hey, settle down or relax. Don't sweat this. You're stressed out. Cálmate, cálmate. See? Cálmate. Bien. And notice I need an accent mark there. Oh, why do I need an accent mark here? Because it ends in the letter E, en la letra E.
No.
Yeah. So, okay, what's the second to the last syllable?
Ma.
But the way we pronounce it breaks that rule of second to last syllable. It's not calmate, calmate. Nobody says it that way. No, it is not pronounced calmate. It is pronounced calmate, calmate. So the job of that accent mark is to stay there and say, well, hey, you know, this sound still sounds like it still sounds like that, but we're going to punch this syllable harder than the others. Cálmate. Cálmate. Calm down, chill out, relax. Don't stress. Cálmate, cálmate, cálmate. Bien. Qué buen ejemplo. Okay. Hay otros ejemplos. Any other examples that you used in small group? ¿Sí o no?
Sí. I found another cognate, so let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Las paredes de mi habitación son beiges.
Beige,
Beige?
sí.
Is that how you beige?
Eso, sí. Bueno, la palabra que Lori usó, the word she used, beige. You know, this is kind of an odd word. This is probably, I don't want to say this is borrowed, but I don't really know. Where did this word beige originate? Did it originate in French and English? No sé, no lo sé. I do not know, no lo sé. Pero beige, sí, beige. Okay. Sí, las paredes the walls, the interior walls, las paredes de mi habitación son beiges. Así. Bien. Okay.
Son verdes.
Sí. Okay. Vale, bueno. Hay otra pregunta. Any other question?
I had one more. I
Sí.
just need to, I wasn't sure if I needed that in there. Ella tiene a un perro amable.
Tiene, I'm missing the word amable before amable.
Oh, ella tiene a un perro amable.
Un perro amable.
So with would I still put that A in there?
Oh, tiene un perro amable. Tiene un perro amable.
So I don't need the extra A?
No.
Like, you know how you do for a person or a pet?
Yeah. Oh, entiendo por qué. Okay, ahora entiendo. No se dice, you don't say, tiene a un perro, no. Tiene un perro. Bien, okay.
Okay.
Entiendo. There is no a personal there. Tiene un perro amable.
So with un or una, you don't need that.
No, it's more this. What Lori is talking about, some of you may or may not know what she's talking about. There is something called in Spanish the a personal. And all that means is the little word a has to be used when we talk about pets or people, more importantly, people. But because we treat our pets like people, we use it for pets as well. We use the a personal when a human being or even a pet receives the action of the verb. But there is an exception. The a personal is usually like in 95% of the cases not used with the verb tener. Okay, so I'll illustrate why this is happening because some of you some folks in here may have less experience and may say, I don't know what she's referring to. Okay. Por ejemplo, if a person receives action, so let's use this verb, veo, I see. Veo.
Veo.
Veo a los niños. Veo a los niños. I see the kids. That little word a is the a personal. Who do I see? Kids. Kids are human beings. So Spanish, when a human being receives the action of that activity, veo, I see. When a human being receives the action, we need an a personal. That little word a has to be there because it's human being, as opposed to veo muchos carros en la calle. I see many cars on the street. Cars are not human beings. And I don't have an a personal, but niños are human beings and they're receiving that action of veo. So it needs this little word a. I could also see, I could also say because we treat our pets like human beings, I might say, veo a mi perro en la calle. Wow, I see my dog in the street. Oh my God, he's gonna get hit. Veo a mi perro, because my doggy is near and dear to me. Yeah, I might use that a personal, even though that's not a human being, it's an animal. Okay, bien. So most of the time with most verbs, this a personal comes I'll put this human being back in here. The a personal comes into play when a human being receives the action of the verb, right? Here, a human being is not receiving the action, so we don't need that little word a. But with the verb tener, generally, we don't use the a personal. There are some kind of strange, and you don't need to know them kind of examples where that might happen. So tener does not use the a personal, and there's one other verb that does not use the a personal, and that's I. Okay, so her example of see and I'm gonna have a different person here because I can't remember. Mi amiga tiene un perro amable. Es buen ejemplo. It's a good example, but even though my friend has a dog, and even though this is a pet that would normally use the a personal, because it is that verb tener generally does not use that a personal. Okay. Bien. Another thing to know is another verb that does not use the a personal is that verb I. I and tener do not use the a personal. Okay. ¿Entiendes, Lori?
Sí, gracias,
Okay,
gracias, thank you.
because I is going to come into our interview very, very soon. Okay, bueno, hay otros ejemplos, hay otras preguntas. ¿Tienen ustedes preguntas o no? ¿No? Bien, okay, vale. Good examples, buenos ejemplos. We are not going to go into the oops cognates that really mean something that is very different. Okay, we talked about that last week, so we're not going to get into that much, or at all, really. If you've got questions about those later, you can, but that's just words that do look like a cognate, but they don't mean what you think. Sometimes that happens. We call them false cognates. Okay, aquí, here, el video de la semana, the video of this week. I want to see if you have any questions on something that you heard in this video. Would you have any questions about something you heard that you didn't understand why they used a certain word, or what were they talking about in that stretch? And of course, here you can always punch this CC button. And you may also need to use with that the gear button, which is the settings button. And you may need to select subtitles and Spanish for that. And you know what? Those are AI generated. They'll be like about 90% accurate once in a while. There's a boo-boo. But yeah, that'll get you to subtitles. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? I thought this was kind of a fun video, little guessing game thing. See? And these are for listening comprehension. You should not understand word for word everything they say in your listening comprehension videos. The job of the listening comprehension video is to get your ear used to hearing, to getting the main idea. Get the main idea.
I could see where this is what do you call it? Immersive. Because I watched the video not speaking Spanish and I got all the questions right.
Ok, sí, eso es. Bien. Sheila, eres súper inteligente. Tú eres súper inteligente, entonces. You are super intelligent. Ok, vale, bien. Bueno, ¿hay alguna pregunta? Any kind of question you had on this or no? No? Okay, you'll get a new one, and The new one for the next coming week is a super fun one. Es super divertido. Es super divertido. It is super entertaining. You are, sí, les va a gustar. You're going to like it. Okay, we're going to talk about something a little bit different now. This is going to be a mini lesson with some mini examples, and I may put you guys on the spot just a tiny bit and ask you to pitch in with some examples. I want to talk about, here's our mini lesson for the day. And the mini lesson is about two very simple verbs that are used constantly over and over in daily conversation. But they can be a little bit confusing in the words we group around with them. And it's these two. And Spanish has this very, very annoying aspect for a lot of people who are English speakers, in that a lot of times where English will just use is or are, there are different words that do that in Spanish. And we do this juggling act. We do in English speakers, of when we use them. And actually, I could even add to that list. I'm going to superimpose this. I am going to add to this list, but we're only going to look at two of these today. Because the other word we could add to this list is es or son, I guess. Bien, okay. Annoyingly, Spanish has many words which in English, we just have is or are, but Spanish does not. Okay, entonces, hay. There is. It can also mean there are. And that term in English gets kind of misused a lot. Está is just is, right? And these, although we're not going to talk about these too much today, are is, right? And you heard some examples of this actually in the listening comprehension video from last week. There were some examples. Okay. Un ejemplo, por favor. Hay una águila en la bandera de México. There is an eagle on the Mexican flag. Hay una águila. There's an eagle. En la bandera, on the flag. En la bandera mexicana. Hay una águila en la bandera mexicana. Okay. But then they switched over, like, I think only one sentence later, the next sentence, say, sí, el águila está en la bandera. Now, why did they switch from I to está? I has a job in Spanish, and the job of this, even though you see an is and you see an is, I has a job, and I has a job of just talking about existence. Oops. Did I spell that right? Is that an A or an
EXI.
A or A? No sé. Can't spell in English. I can sure spell in Spanish. Okay. Bien. I has a job of just talking about something, being out there. I is a very less specific kind of verb. Okay. It just says something is hanging out there. And whereas estar is kind of a more specific kind of is. Estar is used to talk about, okay, how we feel, the little mnemonic device people. For how you feel and where you are, always use the verb estar. Okay, for how you feel is your emotions or your health. But for where you are talks about location. Okay, so estar is often used to talk about location. All right. And here's a problem that often comes up. What little words we pair with I versus the little words we pair with estar. So if you go back to that little guessing game video, they have this. Hay una águila en la bandera mexicana. There's an eagle on the Mexican flag. There's an eagle. Okay. Not a bald eagle, not, just an eagle. And an eagle, un águila. Let's make it a little less specific. Hay un pájaro. There's a bird. Let's say we don't know what kind of bird it is. Hay un pájaro en la bandera mexicana. See? Un pájaro. This is the word. We pair I with a non-specific, with an indefinite article. Okay. We will not use I with el, la, los, or las. So we will pair I with we use I with words like un or una or unos or unas. These are non-specific kinds of articles, right? A or some. A or some. Those get paired with I to just say that something is out there. Hay un pájaro en la bandera mexicana. Hay un pájaro, a bird. You would never phrase that as hay el pájaro. We cannot use el, la, los, or las with I. You never hear it used that way. Okay? Bien? Vale, bueno. Okay, and these are little tips. Está, and we're using just this one conjugation here. Está often will pair with el, la, los, or las. Okay? And that's why they switched to the sentence of el águila está en la bandera mexicana. El águila está. Okay. Perdón, let's change this to a little bit better description. Or no, actually, sí. El águila está. Bien. Okay, bien. You might also pair things like mi, mis, tú, tus, the little words that show possession, my, your, his, her, our. See? We might pair those with estar. Okay, bien. Let me show you some examples. Ooh. Hay unas tarjetas. I'm just talking about stuff that's around my office. Hay unas tarjetas de Navidad. ¿Sí? Hay unas tarjetas de Navidad. Hay unas tarjetas de Navidad en mi escritorio. Hay unas tarjetas de Navidad. Hay unas. There are some. Hay unas tarjetas de Navidad. And I might even choose, because I feel like it, to exclude the word unas. Hay tarjetas de Navidad. There are Christmas cards. Hay tarjetas de Navidad en mi escritorio. En mi escritorio hay tarjetas de Navidad. Or I might say, hay unas tarjetas de Navidad. There are some. Okay. I would never pair I with las. So I would never, it would sound weird if you said this, if you paired it up this way, because we're so used to, oh, you got to use el, la, los, and las with nouns more in Spanish than you do in English. You would never say, hay las tarjetas de Navidad. No, 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 no. Hay unas tarjetas de Navidad, or I might drop the unas word. Hay tarjetas de Navidad en mi escritorio. Okay, bien. I can say hay unas tarjetas, or I can skip the word unas and just say hay tarjetas de Navidad. Okay, bien. It just talks about they exist. They're out there. Okay. If I want to use a la, ¿dónde está la tarjeta con gatos? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? Now I'm talking about location of something specific. This was just a bunch of stuff, general. Now I want to talk about this card specific. This cards, I gotta be con cuidado, ¿sí? ¿Dónde está la tarjeta con gatos? Where is the card with cats? And now I'm talking about a specific card. Often we pair up an el, la, los, or las with the word está. ¿Dónde está la tarjeta con gatos? Where's the card with cats? And I mean something rather than just out of a pile. Yeah. Rather than this pile of stuff. ¿Dónde está la tarjeta con gatos? ¿Dónde está la tarjeta con mi sobrino y su esposa? ¿Dónde está la tarjeta con mi sobrino y su esposa? Where's the card with my nephew and his wife? Now I want a specific one. So estar will often pair up with an el, la, los, or las word, right? But we will never pair an el, la, los, or las with I, okay? And that's a mistake that we as English speakers often make. Oh, por ejemplo, hay muchos papeles. Hay muchos papeles. There are a lot of, and muchos just means a bunch. Again, it's not specific. It just tells me a quantity. Yeah. It tells me a bunch. Hay muchos papeles en mi escritorio. There are lots of papers. Lots of papers on my desk. Hay muchos papeles. ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está el cupón?
¿Dónde
¿Dónde
está?
está el cupón? Where is the coupon? I'm talking about a specific paper out of all of those. ¿Dónde está la invitación a la boda? Where's the wedding invitation? Do any of you have a junk pile on your countertop? Boy, if you don't, I envy you porque en mi casa siempre hay cositas, okay? So, what I'm going to have you do, you're going to have actually 2 videos to work on this week. You're going to have a fun video that is just a lighthearted and storytelling thing, okay? And that'll be for listening comprehension in general. But then you're going to have another video that will talk about specific uses of I. And this one is going to explain a lot in Spanish. So you may need to listen to it like a bunch of times. That is okay. I think I will do a part of the. Uy, ¿dónde está? ¿Dónde está el video? Ah, aquí.
Ay.
Here it is. Okay. I'm going to show you a little bit just to illustrate so you can kind of hear why this is a little bit. This video will be a little more challenging for you to listen to. So we're going to listen to just a portion of it. Vamos a escuchar una parte. So what I'm going to want you to do, I'm going to give you a little assignment to come back with examples.
¿Cuál es la diferencia entre la cartera está en la silla y hay una cartera en la silla?
What's the difference between there's a wallet on the chair, or excuse me, the wallet is on the chair. The wallet is on the chair, and there's a wallet on the chair. So what we were wanting to look at, and this looks like kind of the picky stuff, but actually this is making sure you pair up words correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to pair up words correctly. La cartera está en la silla. The wallet is on the chair. It's talking about a specific item that you don't want to confuse with other items that might look like it. Okay.
Wallet, yeah.
Hay una cartera en la silla. Hey, that thing is on the chair. It just exists. But when we use hay una cartera en la silla, there's a wallet on the chair. It's just some kind of wallet. Any old wallet, not a specific one. We cannot combine words like el, la, los, or las with hay. Okay. Hay una cartera en la silla.
La diferencia es muy sutil. Hay y está pueden ser confusos. Mejor lo revisamos con calma.
There's calma again. Better, and notice how they translated that. Better we check it out slowly. Okay. Meaning I don't want you to stress out about this, but we want to pair up the right words with hay, and we want to pair up the right words with está.
You have no idea how many times students like Alex have asked me about hay and está. These two concepts can easily overlap and cause confusion. I'm Maura from Spring Spanish, and today I'll help you separate these two ideas and use them with ease. Empecemos. Número 1. The main difference between hay and está. Básicamente, hay habla de la existencia de algo o alguien.
Basically, that verb there is or there are, talks about the existence of something.
Está, por otra parte, habla de la locación.
Estar talks about where that thing specifically is, where its location is. Okay. So I'm going to let you watch the rest of that video, and that is not a listening comprehend. Well, it kind of is because they put most of the explanation in Spanish. But it does give you, it will automatically give you the translation at the bottom. So be prepared when you listen to that, be prepared to hit the pause button so that you can really soak that in. So we want to pair up the right kind of word combination so that it sounds natural. Okay, bien. So you're going to watch that. That is more a grammar-oriented video, not the fun story listening video. Here's what I will want you to do, and I'll put this down in a set of slides so that you have instructions. I want you to come back to class next week and give some examples of how you use hay or está to talk about stuff that is around, and I will give you examples. I want you to talk about stuff that is on your patio or in your neighborhood or inside of your car, because many of us, like my daughters, use their car to store all kinds of junk. Or maybe not junk, but useful stuff. Yeah. Yeah. What's in your office or on your desk? What's in your fridge? What's on your countertop? Right? You might use I just to say that there's stuff in those places, right? But sometimes we want to use estar to talk about a more specific thing and zero in on something specific. Okay? So maybe talk about what is located in your pantry, or what is located in the park, or hey, what is located specifically in Scottsdale or some specific neighborhood in Scottsdale, okay? And I'll give you some slides that'll show you what I want you to come back with some, one or two of my examples, but I want you to come in with your examples. And our point is you want to listen to that video first, and then you want to come in with some examples to talk about your environment, okay? Talk about your environment, but pairing up the right words with estar and pairing up the right words with hay. Okay, bien.
Sí.
Bien.
Algo muy básico, something very, very basic. But even though that might sound kind of picky, what we want to do is we want to pair up words that naturally run together, so that when we use those examples, they're very natural. And I is used all the time when you ask for directions and people tell you, oh, something is down the street. Okay, but maybe you're looking for a specific spot, and then you're going to use estar. And you're going to have to pair a more specific word, not an un or una, but an el, a la, a los, or a las. Okay, ¿entienden?
Entiendo.
Bien.
Sí.
Bien, fantástico. Bueno, vale. Entonces, so then we'll start back with that. And then we're going to next week, beyond those examples that you'll come back with as your little homework thing, we're going to choose some specific verbs to use and practice with next week during class that will be brand new, besides está and besides hay. Okay, bien?
Sí. Bien.
Perfecto, perfecto. Fantástico. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
It was a pleasure. And I'll look forward to hearing your examples next week of hay and está. Hay and está. Bien.
Bien.
Fine.
Adiós.
Bien,
Yo
sí,
entiendo. Yo
que la
entiendo.
pasen bien. Have a good week. Que la pasen bien la semana que viene, this
Gracias.
coming week.
Gracias.